All right, it is that time where we have to talk about Joe Biden. When we first saw that 1 or 2% of the vote come in from the Iowa caucuses on Monday night, it didn't look good for Joe Biden. Now we have, as of this recording, 71% of the vote counted, and it still doesn't look good for Joe Biden. Now, with 71% reporting, Joe Biden, based on the current numbers, would get 0 pledged delegates from Iowa. 241 state delegate equivalents, which puts him in 4th place. Now, remember that Joe Biden was polling in 2nd place going into Iowa. These results are panicking the Democratic establishment because their goal is for an establishment friendly, centrist candidate to be the nominee. Those candidates were, in order of perceived viability before we got the Iowa caucus results, the order of perceived viability for the centrist candidates was Joe Biden, number 1, Pete Buttigieg, number 2, and Amy Klobuchar, number 3. Biden, with 71% of the vote counted in Iowa, looks like he is losing badly to Mayor Pete and is barely ahead of Amy Klobuchar. And meanwhile, the Democratic establishment now has limited time to decide, do they want to switch horse in the Democratic primary? And it's not just Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar that they are looking at. Remember that Michael Bloomberg has huge cash reserves. There are even questions about, does it make sense for the Dem establishment to start pushing Bloomberg in order, once again, to deny Bernie Sanders, or at this point, it seems less likely, Elizabeth Warren, the Democratic nomination? There are concerns in the DNC about how does Joe Biden justify raising money given his results in Iowa. His fundraising has been okay. It's not been great. But if he does end up in 4th place in Iowa, where he currently stands, why would establishment centrist Democrats, whose priority is for Bernie not to be the nominee, why do you donate to Biden instead of Mayor Pete Buttigieg? Does Michael Bloomberg increasingly seem like the way to go for the establishment because he has nearly unlimited money? Remember, Bloomberg has more than $55 billion in net worth. He's spent, it's over $100 million. I don't know if it's approached or surpassed $200 million at this point. Biden's campaign reportedly has $9 million on hand. I mean, it's a crazy amount of money, but it's almost nothing compared to what Michael Bloomberg has already spent, never mind what he would be capable of spending without even remotely affecting his financial situation. So there are some donors who supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. One example is Alex Sink, who said people she knows are waiting to see how Biden does in a couple more primaries before deciding about giving Biden more money. 4th place in Iowa is not going to inspire a lot of financial contributions to the Joe Biden campaign. And Biden aides previously said, he doesn't have to win Iowa or New Hampshire because he's likely to do well in Nevada and South Carolina. Maybe. Bernie Sanders, of course, doing very well in New Hampshire. Nevada is now close. Biden was barely up in the last poll. South Carolina, still Joe Biden's strongest of the first 4. But one recent poll says Biden's only up 5 in South Carolina. And these polls, as we know, are not always completely accurate. So go back to the selling point for Joe Biden. The selling point for Joe Biden, to the extent that there is or was one, is that he's experienced and he's electable. Joe Biden's not exciting. I hear very few people, even Biden supporters, say that Joe Biden is exciting. Joe Biden's not bringing in a large cohort of new voters who are planning to vote for the first time and they want to do it for Joe Biden. That's not happening. Joe Biden is certainly not progressive and is not in line with what is increasingly the point of view of Americans on more and more issues, be it healthcare or many others. It's the sort of legacy sales pitch, the legacy statesman of Joe Biden. But if he can't win primaries, he was barely viable in Iowa. The case for Biden as the safe, reliable legacy statesman from the Obama administration evaporates very, very quickly. So my question to you, where do you believe the establishment will move if they move from Biden? Will they go to Pete Buttigieg if indeed Buttigieg sneaks out the Iowa caucuses? Although, again, it would be roughly the same level of delegates as Bernie Sanders. Would it go to Amy Klobuchar, who almost tied Joe Biden in Iowa based on the results we have right now? Will the Democratic establishment say we should go to Bloomberg? He has the money for the long haul. He is focusing. Remember, Bloomberg got 0 in Iowa, but he also didn't even campaign there. He's skipping right to the Super Tuesday states. Where do you believe that the establishment will go if indeed Joe Biden's viability remains a question mark, to put it lightly? Let me know. Do you feel like you just don't have enough time to become as intellectually well-rounded as you would like to be, that there are just not enough hours in your week for you to read all of the books that you want to read? One of our sponsors is called Blinkist, and it's an app that lets you consume an entire nonfiction book in 15 minutes. It's only about $8 a month, but you can try it for free for a week and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. What Blinkist does is take thousands of popular nonfiction books and condense them into either text or audio that you can read or listen to in just 15 minutes. And what you get is all of the most important ideas and information from the book. Imagine being able to listen to an entire nonfiction book in the amount of time it takes you to drive or walk home from work. I just finished listening to The Way We Eat Now by B. Wilson, whose work I've recommended to you before. Super interesting look at how the global food system works and impacts the way that we live. Blinkist has totally transformed how I consume information. I love it. Of course, I read a book in its entirety when I can, but there are simply just so many books that I want to read and would not have the time for if it weren't for Blinkist. They have books on politics, economics, philosophy, science, you name it. You can try it out yourself, totally free for a week, and get 25% off if you decide to subscribe just by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video. Like the rest of us, I bet you're going into 2020 thinking about what you didn't get around to in 2019 and your goals for the new year. If you want to work towards being your best self in 2020, understand more about the world around you, and make sure that your time is well spent, then Blinkist is for you.